Hello and welcome to the long overdue recording of how to reposition lazy equity in rental properties using a portfolio non-recourse loan. This is a favorite strategy of mine that we use with real estate investors every single day. It's very powerful and I can't wait to share this with you. Are you stuck? Do you want to access equity in a rental portfolio without selling? Are you what they call Fannied and Freddied out because you have too many mortgages on your personal credit and credit report? Has the bank told you that you are at your aggregate limit, meaning they're not going to lend you any more money? Do you want to increase the speed in which you're acquiring properties, both single families as well as multiple properties? Do you want to borrow money through an entity without personally guaranteeing a loan? Well, it's very, very difficult unless you know how to go do it. Who am I? I'm Billy Brown. I'm the founder of Investors Capital Group, where we educate, empower, and amplify wealth for real estate investors. I'm also an investor and syndicator myself. We're sponsors and contributors to the Real Estate Guys radio program, as well as part of their syndication mentoring club. I'm also an Amazon bestselling author for my work in success habits of super achievers. At the end of this video, we'll give you exclusive offers to be able to get copies of that book, as well as a few other guidebooks for you. I want you to meet my team, Tammy Thrasher Mitchell. She is the director of Curious Conversation, as well as Carly Linsmeyer. She is our loan concierge and processing rock star. Here's some additional resources for you. If you're looking to educate yourself, we do have the guidebooks as well as video portals out there. We empower our clients by giving them the Loan Approval Accelerator program, which is as close to a commercial loan approval, pre-approval as possible. And we amplify their wealth by correctly applying the correct loan product from the correct lender to maximize the profit for the project. The right side, you'll actually see the screenshot of our most popular guidebook on commercial lending for real estate investors, how to use their money to exploit your wealth. Here's a few of our recent acquisitions. We did syndicate an 82-unit apartment complex up in Kentucky last year in 2019, as well as buy a 12,000 square foot condo in my wife's hometown that has a long lease with a corporate tenant in it, meaning they pay for all the taxes, all the insurance, and all the maintenance. It is close to as passive investment as you can go get. And it's also very profitable. And because of our content, as well as we're also investors, I get to be featured on the Real Estate Guys program, as well as meet some really cool people, including Rich Dad himself, Robert Kiyosaki, Chris Martinson, and of course, down the bottom right is the co-hosts, Russell Gray and Robert Helms, for the Real Estate Guys radio program. In the middle there, you're going to see a picture with me and the spirited guy who is Brandon Turner, the founder of Bigger Pockets. Top right, you'll see the screenshot of the book, Success Habits of Super Achievers. You also learn lessons from Darren Hardy, Dennis Waitley, and Brian Tracy, as well as, if you're a Def Leppard fan, Phil Collin. But that's not why we're here. We're here to talk about the lazy equity in rental properties. Does that lazy equity remind you of a lazy teenager sitting on the couch, playing video games, eating popcorn, chips, not doing a darn thing, just sitting there? Well, we're going to talk about one strategy that we use to be able to go free that equity, employ it, and make you a lot more money. So let's pretend that you bought 4 identical properties back in 2014. Identical purchase price, just to keep it simple, $800,000. You put a loan on it of $640,000. Fast forward to 2020, that value is increased to $1.2 million. You now owe $575,000 because you've paid it down. Actually, your tenants have paid that down. So you have trapped equity of $625,000. What is the rate of return on that equity? Ask yourself, what is that return? What's it doing there? It looks good on your balance sheet, but what else is it doing for you? We all know equity comes and equity goes. Think about that. The value of your property is not because you've done anything to it. It's because of comparable sales and property, because the cost of lumber and land have gone up. You had no control over that. What goes up can go down. That $625,000 can evaporate at any given time. So how do you harvest that now safely to be able to go grow it, employ it, and make you more money. So here is an example. We do this for our investors. We love this strategy because if you watch this, it makes your life so much simpler, as well as makes your ability to borrow so much greater. We're going to put a loan on this for up to 75% of the value. When you subtract out the loan balance, the appraisals, and those are rental appraisals, that's why they're a little bit higher than your normal appraisals. Subtract out your closing costs, as well as the other lender's fees, attorney's fees, reserves, etc. Your total cost will be roughly $50,000. Now, asterisk here, we can actually get you a full quote on your specific situation about 2 to 3 business days that itemizes all this for you. I'm using rough numbers here. And yes, it does cost a little bit more money to go do commercial lending that does residential. But I will tell you this, if you did 4 separate loans separately, your cost would be exactly the same, almost to the penny. It doesn't cost you any more or any less. You're just dealing with a different type of lending. So subtract everything out, you have $275,000. Now you still have equity in the properties because there's $300,000 there, but you got $275,000 that's going to be given to you at the closing table. It is yours. There's real benefits to this loan. And the money from the proceeds. That money is tax-free because debt is not taxed by the IRS. Now check with your CPA, but I'm 99.9% sure that debt is not taxed. Up to 30-year amortized loans. There's one single loan payment for your taxes and insurance, and those are escrowed, taken care of by the lender for you. The properties will still positively cash flow. This is a commercial loan. The properties have to debt service themselves. They do not report on your personal credit, and there is the ability to have non-recourse lending. So what is non-recourse lending? It's a type of loan securitized by the collateral, in this case, properties. If the borrower defaults, if you default, the issuer can seize the collateral, but cannot seek out the borrower for any further compensation, even if the collateral does not cover the full value of the default amount. So it's beautiful because they're not coming after you and your family if this goes into default. Here's the other power of non-recourse loans. It's not that because like, oh, everybody pays their bills. Yes, you do. That's not what the beautiful thing about the non-recourse loans is about. What it does is it increases your aggregate limit with the bank lenders because you're not personally guaranteeing these other loans. It also resets your ability to use Fannie and Freddie. When you're refinancing things out of the Fannie Freddie model into a new entity, you reset your ability to go use the Fannie Freddie mortgages. Obviously, the no personal guarantee is big. It also simplifies your tax returns. Your entity, if you don't know this already, your entity has their own tax returns, and they issue you, the individual, a K-1 that goes on your personal tax returns. So very, very simple. So what can you do with this money? $275,000 is just sitting there. Well, it's actually putting a wire to you from the proceeds of this transaction. What can you go do? You're an investor. Think about this. You could pay cash for a new properties, and then refinance with a new Fannie Freddie loan. Right now, the seasoning on those is 6 months. If you bought it right, there is the potential you actually go into a property with no money and continue to recycle that $275,000. Or you can go bigger. That's $1 million assets. Multiple properties or small apartment complex, as an example. If you bought it right, that produced anywhere from 10 to 15% cash on cash return. That's $27,000 to $40,000 net after mortgage payment before taxes. That's in addition to the properties you already own, which you keep. You can invest in gold, buy a vacation home, syndication, take a cruise, buy a Ferrari. It doesn't matter. It's your money. But here's the one where I love the strategy of this. You can leverage that money into up to a $2 million line of credit, and also can be non-recourse to acquire more properties faster. That's right. We do have a lender that will 7x the cash in the bank, and actually can increase it when this transaction happens to go give you, in essence, a pre-approved line of credit to go buy more properties. What does that look like? Well, you can close as little as 10 business days, put multiple projects on that line, high leverage as it's a recording up to 90% of the cost, including the rehab. It can be used for the rehab projects as well as ground up construction if you have that experience. The rates are reasonable for this high of leverage, 7.5 to 8.5%. There is a draw fee, which is typical on these lines of 1.75 to 2%, depending on the experience and the size of the loan. There's a flat fee to set it up. It's not much. And we can get this approved in 5 to 10 business days. So if you already have cash in the bank, what we've done is actually been able to get this line of credit already done. We then increase that line of credit when the refinance of the portfolio is completed. So you're not waiting around on the money. Well, you're asking me now, well, what's the pros and cons of this? Well, it's not for everybody, but let's kind of walk through a few things here to make sure it makes sense for you. Obviously, credit score is a big determining factor. The higher, the better. 740 is typically where you get the best rates in terms on your leverage. Above 700, you're still good. Your ownership structure needs to be the same across the entity that owns the properties. If you partner with other people, it's not impossible, but it takes a little bit of work to be able to structure those the right way. You will need a new Delaware special purpose entity. Delaware is a very investor-friendly state when it comes to this type of structures. You need to have a minimum home value of $75,000. They will require that the taxes, insurance we escrowed. You're going to pre-fund that at closing. Whatever money you have in your other account will be refunded to you after the loan is paid off, usually 30 to 45 days later. You really need a minimum of $500,000 for this in equity to make this make sense. If you have less than that, don't be discouraged. Go and reach out to us. We do have other options to be able to help you out. There's really no maximum here. Up to $5, $6, $7 million is what we've done. We've actually done them in tranches of $1 million. So you have different little bubbles there. You must know that there are prepayment penalties on this or defeasance for up to 5 years. They want you to keep these things in the properties and loan, not pay it off, because these loans are securitized, meaning the investors know for sure they're going to make this money for the debt. You are able to cash out up to 75% of the value of the properties, so long as your debt service coverage ratio is above a 1.25. Now, if you have a bigger portfolio, that can drop down to 1.15 or 1.2. They are amortized over 30 years. It can either be an ARM, adjustable rate mortgage, or a loan, meaning after the 5 or 10 years, a new loan must be taken out. What I love is for the lower leverage people, they have interest-only options. You already have a lower leverage. You don't need to pay down the loan even more. Increase your cash flow by going interest-only. Now, rates are going to vary. At the time of this recording right now, you're between 4.9 and 5.9. And yes, it's a little bit higher than what you're paying for your Fannie Freddie stuff. But again, you can't go do that because you're Fannied and Freddied out. It's obviously very difficult, and they're not going to loan to an entity. So it's a cost of funds. So let me give you an example here. Here's a case study. This is an active investor and a property manager. So he had experience. His problem was he had too many Fannie and Freddie loans. I think he had 30 properties total between his Fannie and Freddies, as well as his bank loans. He was approaching his aggregate limit with his bank lender. They could not lend him any more money. He needed the liquidity to buy more properties. At the time, we were able to go up to 80% leverage because his cash flow was so strong on this. So you can see the value of those 5 properties was $950,000. We paid off his mortgage of $591,000, netted out all the fees, created a new escrow account for him for taxes and insurance. And his cash at closing was $137,000. That's a lot of money. Now, his current lender loans that had his tax and insurance were refunded to him. So he actually had a little bit more money coming back. So I think all total was close to $140,000 he had access to, which was incredible to be able to go buy more properties. In fact, he put that into, I think, 2 different projects to go make a lot more money. This is how you use equity to go and debt to go make you more money. Now, the structure of this, people ask us all the time, what does this look like? So up here it says newly formed LLC. So the Delaware SPE, special purpose entity, is the holding company. There's a sub entity, which is your borrowing entity that holds the title and debt. So, and then that holds the houses. However many houses it is held by that. So there's two layers there. So if people are looking for asset protection, this is the way to go do it. So next steps. If you're looking for more information on this, send me your name and email, and I'll get you my new ebook called The Guidebook, The Ultimate Guidebook for Real Estate Investors, as well as special offers on our best-selling book, Success Habits of Super Achievers. That email is billy@billybrown.me. Just put the subject, Portfolio Loan ebook. I'll get that to you. If you're ready to find out what options are available for you, that same email, just put the subject, Portfolio Loan quote request. And we can set up a time for a call, or just go ahead and set up a time with us using the link on our website, theinvestorscapitalgroup.com. It will connect you to our website. On that website is a link to go connect with us. And it's just a Calendly link to set up a time and date that's convenient to you. Be happy to talk, because we know that most investors aren't simple. They're complicated. Where you're at may be cloudy, and where you want to go may be cloudy. You don't really have clarity on what you want to do. That's where we can actually help you out and find some clarity for you, as well as do some strategy and help you find a way to go buy those bigger, more profitable assets. So really appreciate your time. I hope this helps out. Please take advantage of this while lending is available to us at this time. Trust me, it is a powerful, powerful thing to be able to go free up your equity and be able to borrow more money. Have a fantastic day, and we look forward to connecting with you soon.